Amazon Prime's Invincible isn't afraid to shake things up. While it stays true to the comic's core story, it makes some major changes. From character backgrounds to brutal fights and even entire plot lines getting rearranged. Today, we're counting down the 13 biggest changes Invincible made from the comics. Some for the better, some just to mess with fans' expectations. Let's get into it. Starting our list off is Seance Dog replaces Science Dog. Mark Grayson is a huge comic fan, and his favorite series, Seance Dog, a mystical talking dog in a cape. But in the original comics, Mark's favorite superhero wasn't Seance Dog, it was Science Dog. So why the change? It turns out the show doesn't have the rights to Science Dog. Even though Robert Kirkman created both Invincible and Science Dog, licensing issues are weird like that. Honestly though, Seance Dog is still a solid replacement. Next up, we have Amber's personality overhaul. Amber Bennett isn't just different in appearance, she's practically a different character in the show. In the comics, Amber was a side character whose main purpose was to create tension between Mark and Adam Eve. But in the show, she has way more depth. Working at a community center, standing up for herself and not putting up with Mark's secrets. Her reaction to Mark's big superhero reveal is also different. In the comics, she's shocked but supportive. In the show, she already knew and she's mad. Some fans like the change, others not so much.
Thanks, William. See you later.
At number 11, William is out from the start. William Clockwell is Mark's best friend, and in the comic, William doesn't come out as gay until 80 issues in, after dating Adam Eve for a while. In the show, he's openly gay from the beginning. His romance with Rick, his comic book endgame, is also brought in way earlier. It makes his kidnapping by D.A. Sinclair even more personal and emotional when it happens.
Gentlemen.
Oh, what is that?
Calm down.
Next, we have Robot's big reveal. The reveal that Robot is actually Rudy, a genius with a failing body, happens way earlier in the show than it does in the comics. In the comics, Rudy's true form isn't exposed until much later in the story, but in the show, his plan to clone a new body using Rex's DNA unfolds in season 1. Why the change? Likely to keep the story moving, and let's be real, the reveal was way too wild to put off for long. At number 9, we have the Flaxen invasion gets upgraded. The Flaxens, those green aliens from another dimension, are a joke in the comics. Invincible and Omni-Man take them out with ease, but in the show, they're way more dangerous. The Flaxens keep coming back stronger each time, forcing Mark and the teen team to struggle against them. And when Omni-Man finally goes to their dimension, instead of getting kidnapped like in the comics, he wipes them out completely. No revolution, no resistance, just a Viltrumite-shaped extinction event.
Tell Mr. Lou next time I find him on our turf, I won't be so gentle. That mess.
Titan's backstory gets an upgrade at number 8. Titan, the guy with rock powers, was just a small-time criminal in the comics, trying to overthrow his boss Machine Head for purely selfish reasons. In the show, though, he's got a family. Giving Titan a wife and daughter adds a tragic layer to his character, making his betrayal of Mark hit even harder. It also sets him up for a bigger role later, unlike in the comics where he kind of fades into the background.
He doesn't stay small.
Shrinking Ray lives, kind of. Shrinking Ray, a minor male hero in the comics, gets 2 major changes. 1, he's a woman now, and 2, he doesn't die immediately. In the comics, Shrinking Ray gets eaten alive by Komodo Dragon and is never seen again. In the show, the scene is even more brutal, but she barely survives. Now she's back in season 3, recovering and forming a connection with Rex, Looks like the show decided she deserved a second chance.
Omni-Man.
At number 6, we have Cecil's fight with Omni-Man. In the comics, Omni-Man's betrayal comes out of nowhere. The Guardians die and then boom, Nolan dips. But in the show, Cecil actually puts up a fight. Instead of just watching Omni-Man leave, Cecil throws everything he has at him. Stealth agents, kaiju, satellite lasers, even teleporting away mid-punch. Does it stop Omni-Man? No. Does it make Cecil look like a badass? Absolutely. Next up, we have Mark and Amber's breakup. In the comics, Mark and Amber break up because he's too busy saving the world. She also starts dating some guy named Gary. In the show, the breakup is way more intense. It happens after Anissa, a Viltrumite, threatens Amber's life, proving that being with Mark makes her a target. Amber realizes she can't do this anymore, leading to one of the show's most emotional scenes. Honestly, this change made the breakup way more impactful.
The League or someone else. I doubt the president still lives there.
Don't make me get this.
At number 4, we have Debbie Grayson's character arc. In the comics, Debbie Grayson, Mark's mom, doesn't get much to do until later on. In the show, she has a massive role upgrade. Instead of blindly supporting Nolan, she figures out the truth herself. She even joins a support group for people married to superheroes, a completely new addition that makes her one of the most compelling characters in the series. Cracking the top 3, Angstrom Levi's villain origin completely changed. In the comics, Angstrom's hatred for Invincible comes from a botched experiment that leaves him horribly disfigured. But in the show, it's even worse. Levi's brain gets flooded with memories from alternate versions of himself, including ones where Invincible is straight up a villain. This breaks his mind, making him completely obsessed with revenge. The show gives Levi more depth and motivation, making him one of the best villains so far. Number 2 is Omni-Man's time on Thraxa. In the comics, when Omni-Man leaves Earth, he searches for another planet to conquer. That's how he finds Thraxa, where he eventually has a son. But in the show, he's not looking for conquests, he's actually trying to die. Racked with the guilt over killing the Guardians, he's considered throwing himself into a black hole. Instead, he ends up saving a group of Thraxans, giving him a new purpose. This humanizes Omni-Man way more than the comics did.
You'll outlast every fragile, insignificant being on this planet.
Number 1, Invincible Man versus Omni-Man is way more brutal. The Mark versus Omni-Man fight in both versions is heartbreaking, but the show cranks up the brutality. Instead of just crashing through buildings, the show makes you feel every loss of life. The subway scene, not in the comics. The dying woman in Mark's arm, also not in the comics. The flashback to Mark's childhood. That moment hits hard because even though Nolan leaves, it's clear he does care. The scene cements this as one of the best father-son fights in all of fiction. And there you have it, the 13 biggest changes Invincible made from the comics so far. Which of these changes do you like the most? Or do you think they should have stayed true to the comics? Let's talk about it in the comments.